Hello, 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 and welcome to Lunchtime with Dr. Nadine and our special guest today. Her name is Carol Boyd. I am so excited to introduce you to Carol. Carol has an amazing story. She's a powerful woman, and she's a graduate of Alabama A&M. She did a Master's of Education in Secondary Education, so she's an educator. I love it. She has an MBA from Alabama A&M as well, and she also is a graduate of the Oakwood University, formerly Oakwood College. She is the founder and CEO of Empower Me Enterprise. And so, what she's doing is helping women or empowering women to use education as a catalyst to help them to be able to have the life that they desire. So, as an educator, she believes that it is education who's going to elevate them to become and to do things probably that they would have never done in their lives. So, Carol,
Hello.
excited to have you here with us today.
It's exciting to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and you look amazing in
Thank
your
you
red.
so
Your hair
much.
is
Thank you.
fabulous.
Thank
So
you.
good. We're
Thank
so
you.
excited. Carol is joining us for lunch in Huntsville. She's in Huntsville, Alabama. And so I'm excited that we can have ladies joining us all over the world. So, ladies, as you're coming in, let us know, where are you joining us from? Let us know where you're joining us from. So, Carol,
Yes.
you're on lunchtime today.
Yes.
And so, our viewers, our ladies would love to know your story. So,
Mhm.
you came into the Runway to Soar coaching experience, and I would love us to talk about that today. But I believe we need to do some background work because I was trying to remember, and I couldn't put my hands on it where we met, how we came into each other's lives. And while you're getting ready to say that, I just want to welcome Abigail. She's joining us here from Georgia. We have Nubian Queen joining from Texas. We have Lena Acosta joining us from Florida. We have Nillian joining us all the way from Jamaica. And so the ladies are coming in. Yes. So talk to us. How did we come into each other's lives in the first place?
Okay. I met Dr. Collins about 5 years ago in 2017 at a prayer conference in Talladega, Alabama. And at our first meeting, when she began to present, I said, "Oh my God, she's so poised. She's so confident. She's so, oh my gosh, she's very passionate about what she was doing at that time." And so I became encapsulated by it all.
So
And
wait. So that prayer summit, if it's the one
yes,
I'm thinking of, that I was invited by, I believe, Sister Shirley. No.
yes, Shirley Scott. Yes.
Oh, that's where we met.
Yes, that is where we met.
Oh,
That's where I met your
okay.
husband. He's selling the books out front and things
Okay.
like
Okay.
that.
All
And
right.
that is where we met. And I was immediately taken aback by your presence.
Mm.
And I was so intimidated. Now I don't intimidate easily, but I was so intimidated by your presence because you just seem so self. I got this. I'm doing this. I'm good. I'm like, yeah, I want to do that too. I want to be like that. But I was like, no, I don't think I can. Now,
Mm-mm.
I'm going to come up to how we got to Runway to Soar.
Mm.
After I left, we had a sign up sheet. And after we left, she was in contact and I began to follow her and what she was doing. And she would put out there and she would reach out and say, consultation, free consultation, so on and so forth. But I just didn't bring myself to do it for a while. And then I finally did. And we had the conversation. And she was asking me questions that I didn't have the answer to because I had never thought about it. What is it that you think you'd like to do? What do you want to do? How could you, sir? I had no idea because I had never asked myself those questions. I
Mhm.
was relegated or I was resigned to believing that 9 to 5 was the way and that was the way to success. And that
Mm.
was it. And I was doing that and I was doing it well. And that's all that I needed. But after we had the conversation, we had two, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And then she began to say, about the runway to soar. And in my mind, I said, okay, I can't afford that.
Are we
And
talking
then
about
after a while, huh?
we're talking about 2020, right?
Yes,
The program was launched in 2020. So you say we left in
yes,
2017. So we
yes,
have like about 3 years of
yes,
that, just being in that space of being unsure about the next move in your life.
absolutely. No, I had resigned myself. I wasn't going to make the next move.
Wow.
And then I saw it and I said, no, I can't afford that. But then I said, I can't afford not to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I decided, and not only that, the bonus was the certificate in prayer,
The prayer certificate.
certified prayer counselor. And so I needed to know how to pray and all I needed the dynamics of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I convinced myself that I would make the sacrifice and I would do it. And I did it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of work, it was a lot of information, kind of a short period of time. I had to push myself, I had to stretch myself to limits that I did not even know I was capable of,
Wow.
but I was. And
Mm-hmm.
after the fact, I kind of sat very still. Now, what do we do?
Mm.
Go ahead. I hear you're going to ask me a question. Go ahead.
I'm really excited about where we are now, but I would love maybe if you can give our viewers a little bit of background of possibly why it
Oh,
would have taken you so much time
okay. Okay.
and effort and energy to
Yes.
probably even think one of I'm worth investing in myself, and I also need to make some massive moves because you do have an impressive education background, but
Yes.
here you are
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago
Mm-hmm.
at that stage of struggling, two
Mm-hmm.
years ago
Mm-hmm.
still at that stage of struggling. What
Mm-hmm.
was creating that barrier for you?
The barrier was fear. Fear became my best friend, became my best, took it everywhere I went, was fear.
Mm-hmm.
Where that fear came from, I had to sit and really think about it. And it took me a while to look
Mm-hmm.
introspectively and say, what is the root of this fear?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I was growing up, I was always called dark skinned. Oh, she's so dark skinned. Oh, but to be a dark skinned girl, you're kind of cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if you had light skin and long hair, you would really be cute.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I heard. That's all that resonated in my life. So the fear then jumped into being the fear of being seen because when people see me, what are they going to see? My skin. That was in my mind, my skin.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did to mask that pain, I began to shop
Mm-hmm.
and I shopped and I shopped. Then the attention became, that's a nice suit you have on.
Wow.
Those are some nice shoes you have on. So the more I was complimented, the more I shopped. And I didn't care whose credit card I used.
Wow.
My parent, it didn't matter to me.
Wow.
Now, this is right after I had graduated grad school. And I went back home and
Mm-hmm.
I shopped all the time. And my mom was a shopper as well. You see,
Mm-hmm.
she could afford to. I couldn't necessarily. My dad said to me one day, do not bring another bag into this house. I
Mm-hmm.
still didn't get it that it was too much, but
Mm-hmm.
and so for a moment, it provided some comfort, a temporary relief from
Mm-hmm.
seeing me. But
Wow.
then I had to face me when I woke up in the morning and looked in the mirror, and guess what I saw?
Mm.
Dark skin,
Wow.
right? I had to get over that.
Mm.
Was it easy? No, because I still struggle today.
Mm-hmm.
Those things, when people say things to you, because what I had done was I had allowed people to define who I was, what my worth was, my appearance. I had allowed them to define me, and I began to wear it like a badge of honor. And that's the way I began to behave.
Wow.
And so fear is crippling, it's stifling, it can destroy you if you don't get a handle on it. I finally decided this is not the life I want to live. This is not the legacy I want to leave for my granddaughter. This is not what I want for her. It's not even what I want for me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm capable of so much more. And the most important thing is fear is not of God. He did not give us a spirit of fear. He
Mm-hmm.
did not. And so now here I am today. I went back to some of the material, One Way to Soar,
Mm-hmm.
because it then gave me a different perspective. It began allowed me to reorganize my thoughts in ways where the glass was not half empty, it was half full.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to say, well, now wait a minute. You're worth this.
Mm.
You're worth this. It took some time to even get it, even outside influences. In many of my jobs that I held jobs that were beneath me. I applied
Mm.
for jobs that did not force me to challenge myself for fear. Fear can destroy your life. It can put it on hold. It can let you, or it will keep you stuck right where you are if you're fearful. So I just decided I'm not going to be fearful anymore. What do I have to lose? But I have everything to gain
At
by
what point
it.
did you reach that? At what point did you get to that place of I'm not going to allow fear to control me anymore or fear to steal anything from me? Because I know one of the modules in the runway to so we deal with fear. Was
Yes,
that influential in impacting that kind of change in your life?
it was impacting. When I read it at the time, I don't know that I embraced it. I read the words. I didn't take it to heart until a little bit later. And
So you
then I began to say,
okay,
yes,
so
ma'am.
the module and so I believe you signed up in 2020, was it? Or last
Yes,
2020?
yes,
So you did the module on
yes,
fear, you went through the entire program,
yes,
and so you're still struggling. So who we're meeting today is a new woman from who you
yes,
were even last year.
yes. Because even from that time to this, my life, in my estimation, had been turned upside down because I became a caregiver for my parents. Both my
Mhm,
parents were ill. I
mhm,
quit my job. I relocated to another state.
mhm,
And then I had a lot of time to think. When my
mhm,
parents were asleep, if I
mhm,
had just a little bit of time downtime, which was not often, I had the time to think about myself. And I had to ask myself, Carol, what do you want?
mhm,
You have a purpose in this life.
mhm,
How are you going to fulfill that purpose? First, you have to find out what it is.
mhm,
And so fear had no place in my life anymore.
mhm,
But every now and again, I may be triggered by something,
mhm,
but I'll say, Lord, I'm keeping my eyes on you.
mhm,
I am not going to focus on the distractions or the distractors.
mhm.
Satan is going to get behind me and not worry me anymore. No more fear for my life. No
Yeah.
more fear for my, and that's the point at which I decided. Because of course, reading, going through the modules, like I said, I read it, but then later on I went back
Yeah.
and I then began to embrace some of the information that was in there. That you don't have to be fearful. There's
Yeah.
no, there's no point in being fearful. You don't have to be fearful.
So there are a few things I want to touch on. The first being that you're absolutely beautiful and you're getting
Oh,
the compliment. Love Million is just letting you know, and it's true because when
thank you.
I came out earlier today, that's the first thing I said to you when I saw
You did. You did.
you
You
go.
did.
And so to hear your backstory is amazing. You have somebody saying to you, so happy to meet someone from my alma mater, Alabama A&M. Yours is a powerful story. And so sometimes we don't always get to see that because of which Facebook platform it's coming from. We
Yes.
don't get to see exactly who the person is, but when we go online, we'll be able to see
Yes.
one thing.
Yes.
So the other thing is, apart from the fact that you are beautiful, daughter of the Most High God, is you mentioned two things. I think that's actually quite a number of things, but
Mhm.
one of them you spoke a lot about the fear and the fact that you up until last year.
Mhm.
So that's the reason why we give lifetime access to the programs, because
Mhm.
I know sometimes when a woman goes through the program,
Mhm.
she may not get it or get the result she wants immediately and she'll have to go back. So, for
Right.
example, right now I have a client in my speaker mentorship program. She's
Uh-huh.
on the sixth round of doing the certified prayer counselor class. And she says
Really?
every time she does it, she learns something
Something.
different. And so I'm happy that you had access to it, that you could have
Mhm.
gone back to the modules
Mhm.
to get the shift, because sometimes we may go through it one time and think,
Mhm.
well, I'm done. But it's
Right.
like, does the work ever finish? Or how can I really recognize when it is I've gotten the shift that takes me
Mhm.
to the other side, which is what happened to you?
Yes, absolutely. And we have to realize another thing. I've been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you how long, but I've been doing it for a long time. And you cannot wake up the next morning after reading and say, oh, I'm done. You're not, because it takes practice. It takes doing it over and over and over again. And you have to recalibrate. And you have to say in your mind, you have to tell yourself, no, I'm better than this. I'm worth this. What I didn't say is that I suffered. I suffered for years with self-esteem issues. And
Mm-hmm.
that came from the dark skin thing. Because, of course, here in America, we understand what that means.
Mm.
The darker you are, the uglier you are, because dark is associated with being ugly.
Mm.
And so I had to look at myself. I had to shift. There had to be a shift. And I had to look at myself, not through my eyes, but through God's eyes. And He made me fearfully and wonderfully. And the Lord made me kind of smart too.
He made you smart, not
Made
kind of.
me smart. He made me smart, right?
Don't stop change him and what he did for you.
That's right. You're absolutely right, Dr. Collins. He made me smart. He made me really smart. And some of the things that reinforced that for me as I look back, I used to be an adjunct professor at an HBCU. And the dean of the School of Business called me in his office one day and I said, what have I, oh Lord, what have I been running my mouth too much? What have I done? He called me in, he said, have a seat. Long story short, he wanted me to become the dean of the School of Business because he was leaving. I
Wow.
said, me? He said, yes, you. Yes, you. So we sat down and we talked. We ironed out the particulars. I got funding for grad school, for a PhD program. And guess what?
Mm.
Fear came right there knocking on my shoulder saying, no, 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 you can't
Mm.
even do that.
Oh
You
Lord.
have two little children. You cannot relocate to another state. You can't do that anyway. You can't do it. You can't do it. And so I convinced myself that I couldn't do it. And so I didn't. And he asked me why. I said, I have two little children, yada, 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 yada. But going back, I would have had a community of people who would have supported me.
Mm-hmm.
There are Adventist churches all over the place. There
Mm-hmm.
are programs all over the place, but I was too afraid to even entertain the thought that I could be the dean of the School of Business. The
Wow.
Lord had already given me the skills and the
Mm.
capabilities and the resources
Mercy.
to do it, and I just allowed fear to trample all over that. That's all.
This hurts because I'm thinking of the module and the
Mhm.
exercise that I gave you ladies to write a letter
Mhm.
breaking up with fear,
Mhm.
because fear stole a lot from you.
It did. It
And,
absolutely did.
and the Bible text that says, God has not given us a spirit of fear. He's given us power, love, a sound mind.
That's
And
right.
so, if he called you
Mhm.
so that you were more than capable, you already had all of the skills, you were brilliant enough for the job, but there was fear telling you you couldn't. You listened, you believed fear, and it stole something major from you that could
Yes,
have allowed you to have greater impact, influence younger minds, etc.
absolutely.
And
But
so
this
that's
is, I'm sorry.
painful. That's fine. It's painful. And I
It
would
is.
love to hear what you have to say to other ladies about,
Oh,
not letting fear steal anything from them.
do not, because at the end of all of this, we all have a purpose. Before we were born, there was a blueprint written for our lives. And in that blueprint, there are people we are supposed to impact. And I think about it at this point, way down the line, where I've allowed fear to postpone what I
Mm.
am inevitably supposed to do. Now, I still have to do it. I still have to do it. And so the Lord has already assured me, okay, because I asked him for forgiveness. I said, Lord, please extend to me your long arm of grace and mercy
Mm.
for this. But at the time, the Lord and I, we weren't that close. I knew him, you know, Job knew him,
Mhm.
knew of him. I knew of him after the caregiving, after so many other painful experiences in my life.
Mhm.
He became my best friend because he loves me like nobody, like no man ever would. or could, even if he could. He
Mm.
has done for me at my lowest. He has been there, right there for me. And young ladies, you must realize one thing. He's done it for me. He can do it for you, and he will do it for you. He will do what he can because he wants everybody to be safe. And we all have a part to play in that. We all do. I still have those people, whoever they are, wherever they are, that I have to impact their lives. And how is that going to happen? Well, the Lord is going to let me know how that's going to happen and how I need to do it. But it
Yeah.
has to be done. And even if I don't do it, he's going to find somebody else, but then I'll be judged.
So I have a
You know,
question for you. Did you have you broken up with Fear? Like you guys are done?
we are done. I actually blocked her from my phone. I tried to cry. I don't let her sign a lease anymore. She's out of my life. She's out of my life. Now, of course, I have some apprehensions,
Mm-hmm.
but the fear that used to grip me,
Mm-hmm.
that is a thing of the past. How can I do such a terrible thing against the Lord? Because he's saying to me, I've given you this, and you're going to tell me that you can't do it? I'm
Yes.
telling you that you can.
So you
So
went.
yes, we're no longer together. We're
I'm
no
happy.
longer
I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy for
together.
you. So you did the Runway to Soul program. So I know
Yes,
that we spoke a lot about fear, which is just one of the modules. What
yes.
would you say quickly would be, was that your biggest breakthrough? Were there other breakthroughs that you got as you went through these modules in the Runway to Soul program? Because I mean, the major one for you was the fear. And I'm excited that you got that breakthrough because it means that you're now limitless.
Yes.
Were there any other breakthroughs you had during that program, mindset shifts that happened for you? I mean, between last year and this year, you've majorly changed.
Mm-hmm,
And I believe that there's so
mm-hmm,
much that you will now do in this
mm-hmm,
new Carol
mm-hmm.
skin that you're
Yes,
walking in, this
yes, yes,
beautiful dark skin that you're walking in. You could use the very same words that
yes.
people use and try to think. Girl, love the dark skin that you're in.
I know, right? I know, right? Mwah.
Any
Gotta
other
love you. Gotta
breakthroughs
love
for you? Any other breakthroughs?
you. The break. Well, the mind. There has to be a shift in your thinking. There has to be a shift. You have to have dialogue with yourself to convince yourself that's not the right way to think.
Mhm,
I can't do. There's no such thing as can't. My uncle used to tell me all the time. There's no such thing as can't. You can't do
mhm.
unless it's something like trying to grow shorter. No, there's no such thing
Wow.
that you can't. There's no such thing as can't. And I
Mm,
used to listen to him, and it used to come to me every now and again whenever I was challenged, whenever I began to apply for positions. And
mm.
I always defaulted to the ones that were beneath me
Wow.
because I knew without a shadow of a doubt I could do this,
Mm.
hands down. But then I learned to do it methodically, mechanically, and then I became bored.
Question. This,
Yes,
this is what I was trying to get to early on, and it slipped me.
yes,
Carol,
yes,
you brilliant woman applying for jobs. It was a special place in your mindset that you would have been operating from that would say, let me apply for all jobs that are beneath my potential, beneath my calling, beneath my purpose, beneath my abilities,
yes,
because there was this fear
yes.
of either probably not getting the job, or fear that you were not good enough for the job when you were actually overly qualified for it.
It was more that I, I'm not going to be able to do it because it sounds so complicated. But
Yet you're brilliant. Yet you're brilliant.
the one thing that I found out about myself is that complex things come very easy. The solution of complex things comes very easy to me. The simple things, on the hand, well, that's another story. But the complex things, and then once I got into these jobs, many times I had supervisors who were female. And I even had one to say to me, "You just want my job." I said, I said, "No, I know what I signed up for. So that was always a problem for me as well. And one job I applied for, there was a committee of people, and this lady told me, "No, I don't want to hire her." No, but she was outvoted, and I got the position. But to my dismay, now I know everything is time specific and divinely ordained. And we all go through things because everything in our lives has something to do with everything else in our lives. It's kind of like a patchwork quilt. If the middle is missing, it's not really that a complete patchwork quilt. So if something is you think that you should not have gone through that, you're wrong. You went through it because now it makes you who you are. The other thing I got from that, Dr. Collins, is this: I allow, because of my fear and my low self-esteem and wanting to have people to accept me, because I realized early on I was different than most people. And in order for them to accept me, I would acquiesce. I would compromise myself. I would sacrifice myself. Now I read that too, but that too did not come, I didn't come to embrace it until much later. And so now, if I don't want you, we're not all here to be in everybody's space. And it
Mhm.
doesn't mean we have to dislike each other. We just don't click together. We just can't walk together like that. We
So
can
now
say hi.
you're accepting the fact that,
Yes.
because I'm hearing a lot of that, and I cannot even believe that the time is going so quick, because I can sit here and just, because there's so many things to learn from your story. One of the things I'm picking up here is that you didn't want to apply for certain jobs or take on the jobs because you were thinking that you were not good enough for it. But when you walk into a room, you were like the biggest threat in the room because you're
Right.
brilliant. And
Right.
so amazing that so many times we as women feel as if we're not good enough when we're actually more than enough for the
More
position.
than that. Yes. So
I'm
now I
saying
realize, oh, Abigail.
rewrite the codes.
Yes.
Rewrite the codes. I
Yes.
cannot even believe we only have 3 minutes left.
What? Are you serious?
Yes, that's the thing. I could just listen to you, like,
Oh
because
my goodness. Oh my goodness. But
your life, your story
yes,
is
yes,
amazing. The
yes,
lessons that you're learning now within the past year,
yes,
I believe so many women
yes,
need to be taking note of it and making shifts right now, because you
yes,
made them, and
yes,
now you're
absolutely.
doing better. So quickly tell our viewers they're
Mhm.
enjoying you, know, what you do right now and how they can get in touch with you.
Right now, I am building my company, the Empower Me Enterprise Company, because I actually started that company in 2006. I
Okay.
never actually pursued it until much later in life because, again, I can't do that. But now I recognize I don't have any choice. I have to do it because there are a lot of women out there who has similar stories. It is a company that provides the link to resources, to possibilities through nurturing, through collaboration, through dialogue, through education, because education now provides options for you that you may not have had otherwise. So I don't minimize education at all. It's not the only thing, but it is a very, very important thing because then you have options. Then you can take that step to the GS 12 that you have so coveted for all of these years, but because you didn't have the education to do it, or because you were fearful that you couldn't, you didn't do it. Step outside of that. Don't say that to yourself another day, that I cannot, that I am fearful. You can reach me at Boyd, CarBoyd 2012 at gmail.com.
Awesome. We have it here on the screen. You can reach Carol if you're looking to work, if you're working with young women, you're working with young women, women who need to be empowered to
Yes,
really get to that next level, who have been really allowing fear to,
yes.
to hinder them. And it's
Mhm.
amazing. I'm sure we would want to hear so much more from you, because the work that you're doing, I believe, is very important because fear is the number one reason why more Christian women are not taking action.
Yes.
As I work with them, it's always fear of some kind.
Yes.
And a
Yes.
lot of these fears are in the mind, and that's why we need to break the mindsets. And that's why Abigail is reading the book right now, The Pursuit of Purpose, and she's saying rewrite the codes because you had to work on rewriting these codes in your head.
Yes.
Otherwise, you will not be
Yes.
stepping in. And I'm sure there may be some regrets. I'm
Of
sure you
course.
realize, so
Yes.
we're 30 minutes in, but if we can take like a minute to do two things, let us know, for example, if you had to recommend Runway to Soar, who would it be for? And also let us know if you had any regrets or what you're doing to address these regrets so that you can have your impact now.
Okay, let me deal with the regrets because that's a little bit easier. The regrets are the fear that led me to the regrets that caused me to miss opportunities that were there for me to not only change my life, but to help change someone else's. People always think that they're by themselves, that they're in this alone. You are not in this alone. Every one of us go through something. It may not be the color of your skin. It may not be. And let me say this, I don't speak for every Black woman in America. I don't. I speak for me because it's my journey. And it was a very painful journey, but one worth the pain because now I'm here at this point. The other thing you asked me about the runway to soar, who would I? Um, I would actually, young, anybody could benefit from it actually.
Mhm.
However, I think young people, because they're just getting into their own,
Mhm.
and so that information is pivotal to self development, self
Mhm.
awareness, and so that you don't get stuck in things like fear.
Right.
That's not a place you look. Fear is now not my enemy, but she is no longer my friend.
Hey,
Cannot be my friend.
no,
So
love it.
there it is. But it
Well,
has been such a pleasure, Dr. Collins, and I cannot imagine that 30 minutes are done
I
already.
cannot either. Actually, I had to just fix my eyes to the left. I couldn't believe it was gone because it's been such a pleasure talking to you and just
Yes, ma'am.
hearing you just touch on these issues that are so critical. And so many of us, too many of us women live below our potential.
That's right.
Just this weekend, I was speaking in Houston and I was saying to them, many of us are not living the lives. And you'll come across it when you read the book as well, because you're reading the book too,
Yeah.
about the fact that we're imposters in our own lives because we're living below the standards for which we were created. And so, Carol, I'm so excited that you are on the up. You will no
Yes.
longer allow fear or anybody's
Yes.
words to
Yes.
influence you. You know that you are beautiful, fearfully and wonderfully made. And what I do is I would use it. Oh, I love the dark. I would stress on the dark skin because so people meet me, will take me and look at me and think, oh my God, you put on so much weight. And so before they get to, oh, this is you. Oh my goodness. I'd be like, yeah, I know I put on a lot of weight. I put it on here, there, and there, and I paid nothing for it. People paying for it in Hollywood. So at the end of the day, you gotta make the joke on you and then keep moving, right? And
But
so
listen, let me say one last thing. The fear and wanting to help. I did write a book. I think I should. I did write a book called Loving Me. Finally, Loving Me.
love
It
it.
is in the process of being republished because there's some
Okay.
things I need to add to it. But
Hmm.
as soon as it is, I will get that information out there because
Lovely.
I believe it is a good read for those who feel that they are alone
Mm.
and who feel that they cannot conquer that thing about self esteem and
Yes,
not being enough.
I love the name when we spoke about it and everything
Yeah,
finally loving me. And so, Carol, I wish you so many blessings as
thank
you go
you.
out there into the world and help women to love themselves,
Yes,
accept themselves, and rise up to being who
yes,
they were created to be, embracing every single part of themselves. Viewers, we thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying with us. And
yeah.
we look forward to having lunch with you tomorrow, where I feature another special guest. God bless
Thank
you
you. Bye
guys.
bye.